The Eastern Conference Finals are finally upon us, but who is going to win this series? Well, that's where me and my buddy Prez are going to get into it today and try to figure out who's going to win this series on this bonus edition of Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in to a special bonus edition of the Locked On Knicks podcast. I'm Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at thestrick.land. And I'm joined today by one of my buddies from The Strickland. I got Prez on, always a favorite on the show. He's super insightful. Normally we bring him in for draft coverage, which I'm sure we probably will. A few weeks down the line, hopefully a month or so down the line, roughly, like within a week of the draft, if the Knicks manage to win the championship, that would be pretty cool. I guess we'll see how that all ends up going. But right now, bringing him in to talk Eastern Conference Finals. If you haven't already, make sure to go back, check out the two previous episodes that I did with him, one yesterday and then one earlier today. We talked about all kinds of things up and down about this series, but left out the last little part, which is who do we think is going to win and in how many games. So we're going to give our series predictions. And then later on in the episode, Prez actually turns things around on me and asked me a few questions, asked me for a few statistical predictions for the rest of the series. He is a podcast host after all, so makes sense. He would shift into hosting mode and grill me a little bit too. But first, I want to thank you all for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day, whether you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform or taking in the sights and sounds on YouTube. We appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Make sure you hit the auto download function on your favorite podcast app or the notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode. But let's not hold things up any further. Let's get to predicting with Prez right now. We're getting kind of close to the end here, Prez. So I think now's the proper time to get things on record here. What is your series prediction? How many games do you think? It takes, and who takes this series?
I'm gonna preface this by saying I, more than any other person on Knicks Twitter, on Knicks internet, nerd or not, have probably been the wrongest about each playoff series. I straight up had Detroit winning in 6, and then I had Boston winning in 6, and obviously those things were extremely far from the truth. So I don't know anything about anything, despite me pretending to cosplay as a nerd for the last 50 minutes. I'll probably, I don't know. I think the Knicks, I don't know if this is just like hopium, which I'm not used to smoking. Usually it's copium. And I feel like in the last game, they kind of unlocked something in them, as corny and cheesy and anime power of friendship as that sounds, as far as like respecting the opponent and just dialing in a detailed way. And because of that, and because I think this team, although the Pacers are amazing at offense, I think this is the kind of team that can cause the Knicks offense to finally get loose in a more consistent fashion. I think the Knicks take it in like 5 or 6. Indy's a tough team. Just everybody is really smart and they got a lot of good shooters and they have a great coach. So like, wouldn't surprise me if they stole one somewhere and caused it to go longer than 5. But I'm not going to take the coward's way out. Knicks in 5.
I'll push it one further and just say Knicks in 6, just because
that's the smart one, honestly. That's smarter.
I also just think the Knicks are allergic to winning in 5. Like,
yeah, it's true.
I don't think that they're, for whatever reason, they just can't do it in a 5th game, whether it's at home, whether it's on the road. They just don't like winning in 5. So,
and it's hard to win in 5 against like fully operational, very good teams, right? Like this isn't, hobbled, fraudulent Cleveland or hobbled Milwaukee or something.
And I do think that there is something to be said too for like when you get that 3-1 lead, we want to pretend these guys are robots or whatever and that they can just come
Oh,
into every game
100%.
feeling exactly the same. But like I think there's something to be said. And it's good on the Knicks that they recognized it, but they obviously came into that game 5 against Boston like, oh, no Tatum, whatever, like this is gonna be a cakewalk. And then Boston like tried 100% and the Knicks were like kind of just la-di-da their way through the game, and go figure they lost, but like they clearly recognize that. I think there is something where they kind of just look at it as like we're going to come out here, we'll play as a reasonably decent version of ourselves, and if that's enough to win us in 5, then cool, but otherwise we get to kind of recharge our batteries for to win it in 6 or whatever, whether that's conscious, subconscious, whatever. I think there's something to be said for it's just hard to close out against a good team in 5 games because that good team is going to come out and want to give you their best shot again. And you're like, man, we've already won 3 of these games. We don't have to win 1 out of the next 3. Like it's not as imperative at that point, whether they want to believe it subconsciously or consciously or whatever. All right, I'll be right back in where Prez turns the mic around on me and asks me some questions, some statistical predictions for this series. So that was fun. It was a fun exercise. It's always fun. I host 5 days a week, so it's always fun to have it turned around and get asked the questions for once. Nice little fun wrinkle at the end of this bonus episode. But first, I want to let you all know about Skims. And when I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was definitely intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, whether it's fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. And stop me if you've heard this already, listening to other episodes, but my favorite is the Stretch 3-inch brief. I'm a 3-inch inseam guy now. Apparently, I was always a 5-inch inseam. Now I like the 3-inch because specifically with the Skims, they really just like stick right to your leg. They don't bunch up. They don't make you feel like you're wearing like your old tighty whities from when you were a kid or whatever. There's no issues. You're not constantly like reaching under your shorts to pull your boxers down or anything like that. They just like stick to your leg. It's a nice length. Keeps your legs from rubbing, whatever. Really good stuff. I love the Skims 3-inch stretch boxer brief. But if you want to get some for yourself, shop Skims Men's at skims.com/lockedonnba and Skims stores and let them know we sent you. And after you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop down menu that follows. Skims is the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. And today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at CarGurus. And I'll tell you what, shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting, but between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel overwhelming. That's why I love CarGurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the US. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. And I'm now saying this for the 3rd time in 2 days between these 3 episodes. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting a new car sometime soon. I drove a Rivian at one point, an R1T, and I kind of fell in love with it. And they're really expensive when you buy them new. So I'm keeping an eye on the used market. And I've set an alert on CarGurus. It's been super helpful. They send you emails when new ones go up. Like it's just a great tool. And it really makes it easy to keep an eye on things without having to do too much work and potentially find the car you want if one pops up. So I'm kind of just waiting for that perfect listing to pop up. Then I'm going to try to pounce, hopefully. But anyway, buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com, cargurus.com.
I
Um,
got I got 3 quick hitter prediction questions for you to close
sure.
us out. I'm
Yeah.
taking over the hosting duties for 5
Okay.
seconds.
Okay.
Question number 1. How many 3-point attempts per game do you think Jalen Brunson is going to average?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna go.
Because it ticked up later in the series versus Boston.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like like 8 maybe. I think
that would be nice.
yeah, I think it's going to be a good amount because I think that he was able to get to that a lot last year. Anecdotally, I didn't look at the stat on that one, but I mean, as of right now in the playoffs so far, he's averaging, what's he at right now? He's averaging 7.5. So I guess that's not that much of a hot take to say 8. Um, but yeah, I think he averages slightly more than what he's been averaging so far in the postseason.
All right, how many threes a game do you think Towns is gonna have?
Now that's the $1,000,000. Now, if you told me that he was averaging almost 4 threes per game in this postseason so far, I would say no freaking way. And yet somehow he is. He's averaging almost 4 a game.
That's a super low number. It's just we've been so down bad that we're like, oh, he shot 1 3. What a miracle.
Yeah, it's just for it just comes down to like where the bar is like we've seen so many games where he only manages to get like 1 or 2 off that 4 seems incomprehensible. Um I'm gonna I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm looking up as I'm talking and stalling to see how many he averaged against Indy this year. He averaged, let's see, he had 8 in the one win, he had 2 in the other win, and then he had 5 in the loss. I'll go ahead and say he can average 5 threes per game in this series, even though the one where he had 8 was in February, so that's encouraging. That was
Mhm.
the 40-point game. Um, but ironically, actually, the one earlier in the season was the one where he had 2, and that was when the Knicks were kind of letting him freelance more and shoot more threes earlier in the season.
And Hart wasn't being defended by centers.
Right. So I'm gonna say 5. I think he goes one more, one extra.
Okay, final question. Do you think Rick Carlisle will do hack a Mitch every game? Or
That's a
will he
$1,000,000
take the coward way out and karmically doom his team in the process like Joe Mazzulla did?
That's the question, right? I feel like he's of a similar like his jib is cut in a similar way to Tibbs, where I just feel like he is a little too like old school about it to want to go with a strategy like that. Like I feel like the Hackimich is like I don't know, it's like the shift or something in baseball. You know what I mean? It's like one of those strategies where like teams start doing it and you're like, "Oh, this is really dirty." Like mathematically it makes sense, but do you really want to win that way, whatever. Um,
In
you know,
baseball, the answer was yes until they made it illegal.
until they made it exactly. Yeah. I was always a hater of the shift. I always just thought it was really annoying and just like such a stupid bending of the rules where I was just like, "Can't you just play the game
Play
in the
defense
positions?"
like a man.
Yeah, like just play defense in the positions like how they're supposed to be. Like I don't get what's so difficult. But yeah, either way, eh, I your question is will he do it every game? No, I don't think he will. I think there will be at least half the games he doesn't deploy it. My hope is that the reason for that is that Cat is able to cook so much in these games that they say to themselves, "Can we really afford to waste these valuable fouls
Mm,
that we're going to need to keep Cat under control?" Um, I'm going to call that wishful thinking, but I think that let's say this series goes to 6. I bet you he only deploys it 3 times.
okay. I have no idea what my own answer would be, but that sounds like a really good answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm just going vibes on that one a little bit, just because Carlisle has that same sort of Tibbs way about him, where he's kind of like he's an older coach. He seems to value honor and things of that nature. Um, so I don't know for sure if he'll go to it, or at least not as much as Missoula tried to. So we'll see. But at any rate, that was fun. I enjoy being treated as the guest for a minute. So that was a good way to close. Prez, obviously, I mentioned at the top of the show, but Twitter at _ Presidente with a Z. You have some great draft stuff coming out on the Strickland. That is your truest of passions is reviewing draft prospects. This year, not the hottest year for it, considering the Knicks have barely any potential draft picks or whatever, but you're still putting in the work. So I'll use this as an opportunity to plug if you haven't already, go check out the Strickland, your draft pyramid, we call it usually. Not it's not a big board in the traditional sense. It's you sort players into buckets, which works way better for this year for the Knicks, I feel like, because there's no point in even pretending to look at the guys at the top of the draft this year because it's definitely not happening. So a good way to kind of get an idea of where you stand on guys lower in the draft and all that. And you always do such great work with that. But is there anything else that you want to promote? Perhaps Pod Strickland Friday edition, which I forgot to mention, or anything else like that before we get going here?
Nah, I'll just say there's some good preview stuff coming out from the Strickland before the Pacers series. And then what you said, my final allegedly big board will come out by the time this pod comes out. I'm not doing as much draft stuff because the Knicks are really good, but I'm still doing my big board. I'm still doing one piece on all the people the Knicks could take in the second round. It's going to be really comprehensive and really for the sickos because it's all second rounder dudes. And then I'm going to do the disrespectful draft comparisons piece, which is always fun. So I can promise those three things. I don't know when, but they will be there.
Well, as your editor, I can tell you that comprehensive second rounder piece will probably be 2 or 3 pieces. By the time I get it, split it up, and we package that thing to get as much digestible content out there as possible. So we
Alex
gotta
won't let me be great and publish a 15,000 word piece.
no, we don't publish books. We publish articles, as it turns out, on the Strickland. Maybe someday. Maybe
Shame.
we'll make our own version of the Grantland Quarterlies or whatever.
Yeah,
And make a
when
book
the
out of it.
Strickland opens up our publishing division.
Our publishing house, yeah, because we definitely have budget for that. Anyway, Prez, thanks so much for popping on, dude. I really appreciate you talking with me, talking through this series, and now all that's left to do is wait and see how it all plays out. So, thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you all soon. Peace out, everybody.